What is up, guys? Welcome back to another False Humans video, or should I say live stream. Let's get right into it. So, sorry for being late. You already know how I am. I was eating dinner and stuff like that. Where I am, you can see the sun setting, so it's just past dinner time. But I digress. We have had a decent move up, okay, just recently. We had this quick pump right here, okay, and we had this other quick pump right here. Okay, so that's 5 points, and then another 6. So kind of expect this to continue on. Okay, if you just zoom out on the chart, you can see we came down, huge pump, 12-point pump right here, 13 points. With very little drawdown from all these. Right within, what is that? Less than half an hour, less than like 10 candles. We recovered really quick. There's 9 candles, and we were, just that where we were before. So that's something I would be keeping in mind. Okay. Yesterday as well, you guys can see that I was huge negative delta coming in all day. Today we're pretty flat, but from around here we've just been picking up. Nothing major, nothing compared to yesterday. Okay, yesterday was just pure negative delta. Same with that, pure negative delta. So now being flat is kind of nice. I think those sellers have kind of got what they wanted out of the markets. Alright, you can see here they sold, got right back up. Clearly buyers are willing to buy around here. Okay, and you can just you can see right here. Okay, this is where we have this huge inefficient imbalanced sort of area, right? And it goes on for a while, so we haven't quite filled that whole inefficient area yet, but usually we usually slice right through it. Okay, so the fact that we're not slicing right through that is kind of weird. So I would look at that as like buyers are pretty happy to continue on getting into those sort of positions around that area. But yeah, I suppose we can start with the daily bias builder. Why not? And you guys already know, if I actually go into the Discord here and so let's see if we go into the trade live stream free, start the stage, and we just press YouTube. So that's us live on both platforms now. But what we are looking for is some ranges, okay, to find these potential plays. Okay, so we have these. If I just put these inside here. That was an all-round nice play. Like, we got an amazing bounce off it, and you can see here, this was just that area right over here. So we had this really nice area here. You came into, okay, and right from there, we actually broke with high enough volume and retested it and just shot down again. So again, like I said before, if we break those sort of levels with high volume, I'd be looking into trying to get the feed off that. Okay. There's Daniel in the chat. Hello, Daniel. But so what we're thinking here is trying to get some of these potential plays really quick. So that one was already tapped. Let me just take all this fluff off really quick. Get these charts. realistically just trying to get as many of these ranges as possible. There seems to be a lot, since we're breaking up constantly right now, it's not bad to take these sort of plays. And we have a huge range over here. But that was already tapped. I think we actually went over that yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. It's so similar. This happens like all the time. You can see here, you're taking from a range and then we just kind of break out and then just retap it pretty fast. And you know, you could easily get that nice quick volatile move down. I think that's going to be realistically it for these sort of ranges right here. I'm actually going to check if there's any buys just up here. Okay, that was the similar one that I was actually talking about. I do remember that now, because if you pull from here to here, you know, we get just that little tap right there. And you pull this whole entire one from here, we get that tap. Pull here, you get this tap. And then you pull here, you get that tap. So that was what it was. And the same game goes over here. Pull, tap, pull, and then you just look at the entry, but alright, I'm gonna take this one. Again, we just wait on the reaction, so it's not even like a bad thing. Just pulling as many as you want, and then, but it's finding high quality ones that is, I suppose, the issue. It's finding the high quality areas where you're kind of comfortable with getting into the trade. Like these are pretty high quality, right? Like you guys can probably already tell that. Like you got this drop, you got a base, you got a rally. Drop, base, rally. This was already ran through. You got a drop, you got a base, you got a rally, ran through. This here you got a rally, you got a base, and then you got a rally. So, you know, you're kind of looking at something like that, right? But I think that's going to be it for those ranges. If I just something like that, group them, rename it. So that's kind of what we're thinking. Oh, that's kind of what we're thinking for here. Again, we had a couple, if I just put this here like that. And there we go. If I just look at something like this, you can see that there was a lot down here that still have yet to be hit as well. You know, this one over here. So, you know, there was a lot of like, anyone that's kind of trading this sort of style, well, you guys will understand that we have been waiting on this for a while, right? Just these levels. So, you know, they're really heavily defended, and you can see right here, just that whole entire pump. Like I said before, you know, having this sort of area as you know, it's very inefficient. Usually these areas are like magnets. That's why prices came back into it. They've tested, they've seen buyers are active, tested again, buyers are active. Every time we step into here, buyers are just constantly active. So there's that. But we'll do the bias builder here, and we'll see what we're coming up with. But these are going to be our like local plays for today, realistically. And if I just go potential play, we'll see about getting some confidence on these levels, if there is. And then we could go over to the bias builder, lift those levels, and then bring them back over here. If this would load, come on, man, come on. Here we go. So this looks crazy. Okay, that's nice. We have going to be alright, plus London POC. This one right down here has a nice split as well. You can just see we have previous day's value area low, we have an Asia POC, plus we have a range POC. So which one was that? This was this one. So we have a Asia POC plus a previous day value area low. Just going to be down levels. Nothing really up here, which is quite concerning. If we take this full range, what do we have? I'll mark it out just in case. This could be a decent play. That would be like a range put control on the 15, say. Right, and then we got previous day VWAP. +1 more, right? And then we got, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. You see here we actually rejected off that previous week POC right down here, which was that was that play I put in. I think I made a video on that play as well. I'm gonna lie. Right, so there's the potential plays that I'm kind of comfortable with taking. Again, seeing what's going on is key. Yeah, that looks decent to me. That looks really fair. And then if we go to something like this, there we go. And there's the chart set up. We'll see these are the levels for today. I think these two right here, or these three, sorry, are going to be the best ones. So I'll call them out: 33762. We got 33821, and then we got 33943. I would say they're probably going to be the strongest for today, just based off the confidence. But then if we go over to this bias builder, we see what we can find over here. And you can actually see, if I just remove that zone, you guys can probably see this reaction, like this retest of this Asia POC was insane. Like, look at that. That's a 2-point drop. You know, when you're scalping, that's what you want. You know, it's $250 per tick. You know, or per contract, sorry. So you know, that's really healthy. We have a long way to go for a lot of these, bar that of Asia. We could come back up to that weekly. You know, so that's obviously you can see down here, this Asia was super duper close to getting hit. So, you know, that's another thing to keep in mind. Like if these sort of levels are really close to getting hit, and then we get a rejection, you know, they're not my favorite to play from after that, you know. But if we're sitting here untapped for this daily, that seems clean enough. You know, we have this naked daily up here. You know, and I would kind of look at this as the value area, but we don't really need to go into that sort of stuff. Okay. So let's see what we're doing now. So if I go over to journal, bias builder, and obviously guys, you can pick this bias builder up inside the WAP. So let's go in here. Okay, let's check out the news. Pretty sure, yeah, there's no news. this. I think it's Monday and Tuesday. There's no news. Yes, there's no news today. So that could be something. Okay, so no news. Initial balance, we don't worry about that. Value area width. That was on the day, wasn't it? It's pretty narrow for now. You know, we've got a 6-point value area compared to yesterday, which was, 16-point value area, so it's pretty narrow. League constituent points of control, yes. We have a London, I think it was, above current session. No, it was London below current session. It was London below. I'm not sure there was a different one though. I'll check it out after, but until the open we're above that right now, aren't we? Yeah. Value area of the previous session we were above. Value area of the previous day we're inside. Value area of the previous week we are just below. Oh, we just came back inside. Okay. So we're not above, we're inside. Liquidity. So let me actually just change it to the hour chart. Put this down to, it is on 5. Could do this to 15 then. Put this down to 2. So we got these highs up here and these lows. So the easiest way to find liquidity hunt is just see where price is right now compared to equilibrium. That's the way I like to look at it anyway. There's so many different ways, but yeah, you can see we're quite a far bit up. You could also just use the normal Fibonacci level. Just going for these highs. It's clear as day what's going on here. So we could reach up, at least higher for the short term here. Again, every time we stepped into this area, buyers have just stepped in, so it's not really surprising, but yeah. So we'll put it higher, but keep an eye on it, right? If we're heavily overextended, I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. Put it that way. But that was a beautiful, beautiful reaction from here. That was really nice. I really like that. But you already know, if you have any questions, ask them in the chat and I will get back to you ASAP. Make sure you guys are liking the stream as well, because that helps out big time. The sun is so bright. I had to close my windows earlier because I just could not see my screen at all. The sun's crazy. It's kind of calmed down now, but okay. So again, the only real level here is that naked weekly, but we already have that on the other. Everything else I'm kind of chill with. We've already got our bias now, so we could skedaddle back over to the main. So we're putting new highs right now. The Asia putting in lows is insane, by the way. Asia does not, there's Monday. Asia put in that low right here, and then they put in another low, so there's to take that into consideration. But I'm looking at this, we don't have much here. How many points are we away? So 5 points, 4 points, 6 points. So we're kind of just chilling until we hit this, one of those from here, Again, not crazy amount of imbalances being printed. Let's go back over here. Little bits of stacked imbalances at these highs here, but nothing much. Again, I'm keeping an eye out on this area up here. If we're to see anything that's going to be around from this area, this is where New York said, right, okay, we're going down from here, and we've just stayed under that this whole entire time. So coming into that, 6 o'clock-ish area, 7 o'clock-ish area, So there's that. But I would wait and see what we got, see what we can come up with. Try to get some A setups. So we have an A setup right here at these highs. Like I say, it's about 6 or 7 points away. What's CBD looking like? So we're pretty crazy right now on CBD. So we'll see how this turns out. But yeah, just waiting on the setup right now. But if you have any questions, let me know. Daniel, how you doing? If you got any questions about ADIS or anything, let me know. Yeah, ask away. Let me know what you're thinking. Don't understand the strategy and trading view, may show it on ADIS. Yeah, I actually can. So if I go to my streaming software, I'm gonna try to figure out how to do this here. So I could actually show you on the Windows version. I sorted it out today, so that wasn't too bad. But if I could figure this out, let's go here. And I'm gonna try to so if I can get this to location capture, if I just change this to VMware Fusion, that should be it now. Let me know if you can see this on ADIS. So I paused this earlier, this could be crazy. But I was making the template and everything earlier. testing it all out. So this should be connected. Not sure what the latency like, but it seems pretty laggy to me, I'm not gonna lie. So if I just go in here, let me see, what can I do this? I could shut this down. Put that from workspace. Orders. So let's see what we're going with. Let's see what we got here. It's super buggy when I'm streaming, this is crazy. I'm gonna try to close down this. Let me try to close down Addis and reopen it. Here. Okay. Go to Addis. So try to get this working on Addis. If it works. Super buggy. Just make sure I don't have Addis open. Jeez Louise, this is crazy. Let's see what I can do here. Here. Spaces. Test. Let's see. Honestly, this is insane. We'll see, we'll wait and we'll see. Might have to increase the cores or something. Okay. We're getting somewhere. There we go. Okay, that's not too bad. Let me know what it probably looks in the streaming chat. So don't understand strategy and stream view, make sure on Alice. So it's super simple, right? So like, what you would do is you just find the key levels. So you know, it depends what kind of key levels you want to trade. Top, that's good. So it just depends what kind of key levels you want to trade. Okay, so over here, I'll send this template in. I think I sent it in earlier into the Discord, right? But really simply, what you're looking for is just your areas of where you want to get in. So the levels that I did earlier on TradingView, you would just do that same exact thing over here. So you would do that. This is where I would put those levels. So you can add, I think there is a fixed profile right here. So you just add these sort of levels, right? Plus the daily levels and stuff like that. If I just go into here, so just go here, click here, go to settings. You can change this from current day. I would just do last day. And you can change the values as well. I would just turn it off. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to add more cores to this thing if I want to stream it. See where it says bottom right, cumulative values. I would just hide that. And you can also hide the whole entire profile itself. But pretty much what you're going to do is just mark those out. Those levels, if these are your key levels. You could have loads of key levels, but like, you know, I would look for the potential play levels. So watch that episode in the WAP if you haven't. It's hard to do those potential play levels. So what you can do is you find those key levels, you just set an alert. So you could just, I'm not sure how you could set alerts on Addis. I'm pretty sure it's quite simple anyway. But you would just, let me see, a set alert on Addis. So you just set an alert at these levels. So let's just say one here, for example, set alert. And there you go. So that's the alert. You just wait until it gets hit, and then once it gets hit, what you're looking for is the confirmation, okay? Because you could just, anyone could just buy levels and sell levels, but there's no point in that because you're just not 100% sure whether to get in or get out of a trade. So what you would be looking for is like a couple of the confirmations, okay? So one of them being like absorption. So I think if you go to the strategies, how-to strategies inside the WAP, you'll be able to see like how those strategies work. But one of them being like imbalances and CVD absorption, right? So that's what you're going to want to see is some form of CVD absorption is kind of a good play. You can also look at it just from the profile chart itself, right? So over time, like, you know, look at setups. So like the best advice I would give you is like set these key levels like on your chart. So let's just say, for example, the potential plays. Because there's 9 different setups you can trade. You can trade the value area setup, which I kind of went over that last night, but you can trade like a bunch of different setups. But let's just say the A plus setup plus the A plus levels. What you're looking for is those potential plays. So you find your confidence levels, you place them on the chart, set an alert at those confidence levels, and then once those alerts go off, that's when you're like hyper focus mode inside here, looking at these footprint charts. So you'd want to see, you know, there's a couple things you might want to see, but if you already understand like some of the concepts, like one of them being like trap traders, for example, you know what I mean, or like, so look at all these buys, right, all this delta coming in, CVD delta, and then nothing's happening, right, and you can actually see just right here, at these lows, there was a quick wick of this CVD divergences, right, because we didn't go higher on this candle. You know what I'm saying? So this was like a lot of CVD. I marked out previous week value area high, previous week POC, previous week value area low, and overnight previous day value area high for the New York session. Okay. So what you're trying to do is like add more to that then. So they would be your key levels. So you're trying to figure out like, okay, how can I take better trades from those key levels? And trade them SR, yeah. So that's so similar to the way I trade, except I just don't do that. But I do know a lot of guys that trade like that exact same strategy. There's a couple guys, but that's not bad. That's not about strategy. So what you would be looking for is how to confirm that with the order flow. So you know, one of them being trap traders, right? So you would look at, I could just go up here, right? And you can see here, just at these highs, there was this is an imbalance chart over here. So I sent this into the Discord, so just double check, and it's on Windows as well, so you can actually download this one. That's what I want to understand. Yeah. So like, the thing that you would be looking for is like, okay, you have sellers coming in here selling imbalances, right? Paired with a key level, right? Then you could be looking at, okay, are sellers stepping in? So you would monitor, okay? So right at these highs, if I just go and change mouse to global, okay, and then change this over here, mouse global, okay, like you can see right at this high on both charts, we were getting in some buyers, right? So those buyers are trapped because price didn't go any higher, right? So there's trap buyers, and then there's sellers saying, okay, this is initiative, there's sellers coming in, okay? You might get in a little bit late, that's fair, right? But you're getting into a trade that you would actually want to be in when it comes to like, let's just pretend there was a key level right here. So is there a way to like draw an object, horizontal line, and just put it here, right? Let's just say this was your previous day value area high, okay? Well then, as soon as we hit that, right, what we're looking at is, okay, we hit it on loads of buying volume. Okay, so this is the way I would be looking at it. We're hitting it with loads of buying volume. Buyers have stopped stepping in, and even the buyers above this level are getting very little reaction from that, okay? So these guys are not getting what they want, okay? So you should be looking at who's getting what they want, and are they getting what they want? You know, so like, what do they want, and are they getting what they want? So these buyers are stepping in at these highs. They want to break this level. Are they getting that? No. Okay, so this to me is a red flag straight away. And then your next red flag would be like, okay, we see this, all these sellers stepping in on this profile. Okay, so then you could start being like, okay, this could be enough for you, by the way. So I have 3 setups, and you know, the three setups, and then I have 3 levels on the setups. You know, what I would be looking for is trap traders imbalances. Okay, so you can see over here, this would be an imbalance. So these are seller imbalances coming in, right? We're seeing a little bit, not crazy, but we're seeing a little bit of divergences on the CVD, so that's exhaustion. But right here, we actually seen absorption. Okay, so we're seeing absorption plus selling imbalances coming in right here. And even on this candle, right, on this 1 minute candle over here, we're actually seeing those selling imbalances coming in. So you probably could have got an entry around here. You know, but if you wanted to wait until that more conservative play, you know, you could have. It's either way, it didn't really matter. But then you would, that's when you're starting to look for your entry. So what would your entry be? Okay, so this is where I use this chart over here. So what I would be doing is, you can see right here, this is the, if I turn on global again, what's that global crosser? So you can see right here on this 5 minute chart, this is, so we closed this 5 minute candle right here. We opened right around here, right? We came back up and tapped this yellow box. Okay, this yellow box is called the point of control. So we tapped that point of control right here, and then that's when we got that reversal. So that's your setup right there, okay? You know, obviously this was just a random level I was just going from, but like that's what your setup would look like in general. Is like, okay, you would have like you would have 3 different types of setups. Okay, you have trap traders, you have imbalances, and then you have absorption. Okay, so you have trap traders, imbalances, and absorption. You can rate them whatever you want. You know, like you could put them on your chart and be like, okay, I only want to see absorption plays, I only want to see imbalance plays, I only want to see trap trader plays. But I would put them together. Okay, so absorption plus trap traders, absorption plus imbalances, or absorption plus trap traders plus imbalances. That's going to be your A plus setup. You know, and that's, you know, you can see right here, okay, there's buyers at the top, they're trapped. Okay, those buyers are now underwater. Then you're seeing the sellers, okay, so you're seeing some imbalances stepping in. Okay, we see the selling imbalances here, selling imbalances here. Oh yeah. So how did I set that up? I'll show you that really quick. So that's an easy way. There's loads of ways to spot imbalances, by the way. Like, there's other indicators on here, so I could show you in different ways. But I like the stacked imbalances because you can see that we actually, like, when we hit these sort of areas, we do get nice reversals sometimes. So there is, like, you know, that's the reason I like those stacked imbalances. So I'll show you how I set that up. So if I just go to indicators, and then, so this is going to go in the 1 minute, by the way. And I go to stacked imbalances, settings, and then you can see here, ignore zero values. Make sure you have that turned on, because if you don't, it would look crazy. I'll just turn it on, but it might, yeah. So you can see like how crazy it looks now. But make sure you turn on hide zero values, because then if there's 0 contracts, I'm pretty sure you already understand all this sort of stuff. But if you don't, go watch the WAP videos, because that'll explain it a little bit better. And plus, it goes to part 2 to videos as well. So if you need honestly any help, just let me know. But so you press ignore zero values. Imbalance ratio is going to be 4 times, so 400%, and then the imbalance range is just going to be 1. I find it works better with imbalance range 1 on here compared to TradingView, which, you know, imbalance range 3 I would have. If that's for like the stacked imbalances. All the rest of the settings are default. No, actually they're not. The imbalance color, I actually made it a little bit more opaque, just halfway. I think it looks a little bit better. And then the line width, I think I changed that to 12. So that's the settings for those stacked imbalances, so you can easily put them on your charts. But that's something you would want to see, right? Is those stacked imbalances coming in. I think the best, like I said, the best setup, in my opinion, is going to be, you know, you get absorption. You have trap traders at the highs or the low, or yeah, trap traders at the highs, let's say for this example. So you get absorption, you get trap traders at the highs, and then you get selling imbalances coming in, confirming that trade is now like, okay, you know, we're getting what we want to see, and then that's good enough. And then what you would do is you would literally just enter off that POC. So if, you know, if we just, I'm pretty sure there is a way to put short position. Okay, so this would have been, or right here, would have been entry. Okay, so this is what you're looking for, is like just right here entry. Stop loss is going to be above the candle, so that's a clear invalidation, and then your TP could be wherever like you want a TP. I actually don't know. This is just a random level. Like there's no confluence here, so this will just go right through. Like, but if this was like a real level, if this was actually your like value area highs and stuff where it actually matters, and then yeah, that would be like nice. But this is just a random spot. Like I said, you know, once you have those key levels, that's like step one. You know, because if you get caught in this middle area, like if you just get lost in here, you'll lose all day. But if you have like really nice key levels, which in my opinion those key levels that you're trading with are good. I know guys that trade with them. You know, they just don't trade with this sort of confirmation. So you know, the win rate on that, what is that like? You know, I've seen win rates between like 40 to 60. In my opinion, from that sort of stuff. You know, where you're just trading that overnight session. I think you said overnight session. Yeah. Overnight, and then plus the 9:30, isn't it? Until the electronic close hours. You know, so when you're trading it like that, and you know you add these sort of you know, absorption plays, imbalance plays, sharp trader plays, it can be really heavy for like, you know, boosting that win rate up to like 10, 20, 30% more, you know, depending where you're at, you know. But if you've got a solid foundation and you know, you're trading like decent enough, then, you know, you've got nothing to lose really, like, you know, by just adding this. It might take a little bit of a while to just get familiar with it and stuff. And to that, I would say you should have, like, so you only have 6 levels there, okay? And, you know, I know that it could take like an hour or two for those levels to actually get hit, you know, so because you're trading like, you know, a big range. So even put in a bunch of lower time frame levels, you know, and see how the reaction is from there, you know. So, you know, find those, if we look over at this chart, right, this bottom chart, if you just try to find like those naked points of control that are, you know, on the 15-minute maybe, you know, something like that, 15-minute, 5-minute. You could do 5-minute, but it's not going to be like, you're not going to see like nice results with that. But if you just do the 15-minute naked points of control, you just mark them out. So like right here is a naked point of control. So what you would do is just you know, click down here, for example, click here, you know, just mark that out, right? And then you wait until we hit that, and then analyze it, train yourself, and then even record it, and you could send it in to me and say, you know, say whatever if you need that extra bit. But that's going to be the main way. Realistically, I should probably do a video on that, like actually live, like in here, kind of like what you would kind of be looking for. I'll record a few of my trading sessions and I'll upload them inside the WAP, so you guys can like probably just, you know, watch them from there. I think that's going to be a lot better for you. But yeah, I agree. It isn't easy. It isn't easy at all, you know. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes easier over time for sure. At the start, when I first started, you know, doing this sort of like type of trading, it was so tough. You know, I literally did not understand it. I would just put the footprint chart on my chart, and I would think it's so cool. That way you mark it out. That what you mark out is it the previous day POC overnight. Yeah. Literally, so like, you know, it's good to mark out them sort of levels, right? But this over here, yeah. So marking out all these sort of levels. You could even mark out like, if I just you could add another one of these to the chart. So if you go here, like I'm pretty sure they have it right over here. So trading session, you can change it to regular trading hours, and then you could trade. So that's just going to be your normal trading hours, and then you got the, like you said, the overnight, and then you can just do default, you know. But marking out them, yeah, you know, regular trading hours. But you could add another profile. So what you can do is like, you could change. I think the only way to do this actually is just turn off the profile color. You know, make it like 100% transparent, and then now you've only just got the levels. And if I go scroll down, where are we? Area highlight. So you just want that fully transparent. And then highlight color. I think that's fully transparent. Yep. Do they let you? Nah, they don't even let you. So you just have like that, and then you just click it right over here. You can also just like have it kind of like my one on TradingView and just have it to here, so you can just monitor how it's like tapping on each level. And then what you can do, which is really cool, is you just go over here, create another one, edit settings. So that was, I'm not sure which one did I just put on my chart. Not 100% sure, but I'll tell you right now anyway. I use the high volume nodes as confirmation on SR. Yeah. So that's another way you can confirm as well, is those sort of high volume nodes coming in, which I agree, you know. I'll delete this actually, and just leave that how it is. And I'll just leave it like that, and I'll fix it after. But yeah. So like those high volume nodes are really decent. You know, that's another thing that I use. So like on over here, it's so simple to see those high volume nodes. You could probably change this as well. I was just playing around with it. I literally downloaded this software earlier just so I can get on the Addis again, because on the Mac it is a little bit you know, you can't send anyone templates and stuff, and you're not the only person that's came in asking like, can I have your template for Addis? So I was like, crap, okay, I'm gonna have to sort this out like ASAP. But yeah, I'm just playing around with it at the moment. But there is, and you know, on here as well, make sure you turn off the upper cutoff limit, because if you do, like, you know, just go all red. But the contrast as well. Contrast isn't bad, by the way. Like if you just make that like 80, literally, if you make this to the full max, you can see those key levels, by the way, which is really cool. There's cool ways to look at this, but there's an indicator on Addis that I could show you instead of those high volume nodes. Another cool way that I look at it is called cluster search. So if you just go to cluster search, and then I'll show you really quick on my main. So you can turn this off, minimum value, change that to, I think I had it set to 250, which was nice. No max, calculation is just going to be that. And I think if we just add the chart and press apply, so if I go over here, change auto, change this to 7, at least 1 week worth. Cluster search, let's see. I'll set it to 100 and see if that was it. Yo. Okay, so see how it looks crazy right now? Yeah, so you set it to 250. I was set to 1,000, that's why it didn't work. Let's see, I think I might have had it set to 100. Yeah, it was either 200 or 150. So sure, 100. Yeah, 100 is going to be nice. Just to show you here. So you can see, like, at these highs, you know, it's kind of cherry picking here, like, but if you pair if you pair this with what you're using, you know, the high volume nodes you can just spot instantly. So like right now I already know where all the high volume nodes are just off these cluster searches. So you can see here high volume nodes, then we got that nice reversal, high volume node, nice reversal. You know, we're kind of getting chopped up in the range. That was a hard range to trade though. You know, high volume nodes, so it's really good at spotting this. Again, that's just the settings there if you didn't catch that. So you just go to indicators, and then you go to cluster search. It depends when you're trading though, but if you send it to minimum value, means there has to be at least 100 contracts coming in. You don't need a maximum value on unless you're like trading something else, but if you're trading gold, that's all you would need is minimum value 100. And that means now you've got 100, a minimum 100 contracts coming in. You know, so it's actually a pretty decent thing. And you can also change the calculation method. Like you could change it to delta. So like 100 positive or 100 negative delta. You can see right here. Is there a way? I think there might be a way to change the color. No. You can change just the normal color, but if you could change the color to like, I think there is an indicator though on this. Is it big trades? I'm not sure. I'll have to play around with it anyway. But you can, you know, find some decent plays with setting that minimum value to 100. You know, and play around with it. Like I say, you know, you might have to change this sometimes, depending on like what session you're in. But I personally would just use volume instead of delta. You know, you could change the delta into a different color. So let's say like 50. So what you can do is like go something like this, indicators, and then add 2 of these. So 2 cluster searches, add 1 that searches for 50, maybe even 20. Let's try 50. Yeah, so you do get some areas with that. You know, and that's not bad in itself. Like the way I would try to look at that, by the way, is so you would do like a 50. Let me try 25. Yeah, so 25 is like literally, you can see here we're marking out highs, you know, highs and lows, and there's a, you know, you could easily long here, short here, but a way that I would like to add a little bit to that would literally just be set that to 25, add cluster search again, right? Add it to your chart again, and then change that to 100, and then once you have high positive delta or high negative delta plus high volume coming in, well then that's like, that could be a nice reversal play. So you could add them two alone, and it saves you time. You know, that's what I like. Just set your alerts. This is what I do, honestly. I just set my alerts. I'll run back in here real quick, check the chart. Do I see what I want to see? Yes or no, and then I'll just walk away from the chart if I don't see it, you know. If I'm busy, but like sometimes, most of the time I'm literally just sitting here. But like if you're doing stuff and you have other things to do, then it just makes sense, you know, to work it that way. Like you want to get what's most visually appealing to like spot trades. That's for sure. You know, you don't want to be sitting here all day, like, you know, hoping that something's going to happen. But yeah, I kind of like just the volume. The volume's good enough for me because then I could analyze it in the time. But yeah, you know, setting something like volume plus a delta, and then that'll be super clean setup for spotting like highs and lows. But yeah, you can see we're actually hitting that selling balance right now. So like, okay, right now, like let's say I was trading this right now, I would not be trading just one little level like this though. So I look at these mostly as like stacking balances. But let's just say what I wanted to see. Okay, we're seeing buyers stepping in, and we're seeing buyers stepping in on CBD. So we're seeing buyers stepping in all across the board. Are they getting rewarded? Well, so far buyers have been getting rewarded. You know, where's volume coming in? Volume has been coming in higher and higher and higher, but it's been at the low of the profile, which is not that great. We just hit a naked point of control plus that imbalance. You know, so there's 2 ticks for that, but there's like also these buyers stepping in, and they're pretty fat. You know, so this is the way I'd be analyzing it right now. You know, so what we want to see is like some sort of confirmation off this. So far there's no confirmation. And to say I wanted this, let's pretend I just wanted to sell from this imbalance right here. There's no confirmation for this yet. And what I would want to see is at least breaking. So we're breaking down now. We just hit that POC, right? So what I would want to see is let's break that POC, come right back up. It would be nice if there was a drawing tool on this. But like, okay, so we come back down. There's a POC right down here. Come back down, hit that POC, so we just did. And now I would want to see us break up and get this entry, okay? So that's the way I would trade that. But yeah. So I'd be looking at this chart as well. Okay, so you're seeing like sort of the CVD starting to fall. So you're starting to get a little bit of a reversal here on CVD. You know, previously, you know, we're dropping quite a few points. So sellers are there. But now you'd want to see us get into this position. So there's two ways, but this first way I do not recommend, especially for like new, is like, it would be hopping in. So you can hop in with momentum. Like I know a lot of guys that trade that sort of way. So you would hop in like right as soon as you started to see CVD starting to switch over like this, you started to see us break this POC. That's when you would have hopped in. But me personally, I like waiting until I'd rather miss a trade than hop into something that I'm not comfortable with. But that's what you'd be looking for. Again, like I said, there's that strategy on the WAP page where it is a CVD absorption play plus this imbalance play. So it's not a bad reaction, honestly. That's crazy, but it's not something I would trade, honestly. You can trade these, but like if we just look at it, yes, you do get reactions from these, right? From time to time, but there needs to be some form of confidence up around here. But yeah, like I'd be waiting. If this was a key level, it all depends, right? Like it's just so context dependent, and that's why I actually look at all this sell volume coming in. That's why it's so context dependent, because I would be waiting on the confirmation of this, right? If this was something like a C level, a C setup, I'd be waiting on the confirmation, and then if it's like an A setup, that's when you can start being a little bit more like, okay, this is an A setup. This only happens maybe once or twice a day. Let me hop in, So it all really is context dependent. That's why I have those setups. I have there's 9 setups, 9 different variations. There's a C plus C, and then an A plus an A setup, and then you got a B plus a B setup, so on. So that's why I have that, because it just keeps me clear. So usually the market try to catch the naked point of control in the footprint. So yeah, usually what you'll see, right? Like in theory, the naked point of control is going to be where the most volume is, right? A lot of people treat the naked point of control as fair value. I'm not going to lie, I don't really like that sort of terminology for the point of control. I don't think it suits it, because yes, I suppose it is fair value, right? Like if you're thinking about it, but it's also like where the most amount of trades were. So if you're thinking about it, right, the most amount of trades is going to be where the most people are in trades. Okay, so I'll tell you this is a really good point here. The point of control is where there's buyers and there's sellers, right? If I was a buyer, so okay, right here, right? Let's say right here. This is why it's good to look at this as well, okay? Because this will show you exactly. Okay, this is perfect. This is a perfect example for that question. Right here, these were all buyers, okay? This point of control right here on this main chart was all buyers, right? These buyers did not get what they wanted, okay? So all these buyers up here did not get what they wanted. To get out of their buy position, they have to sell, okay? Which will turn the market. So these buyers right here were not getting what they want. You can see here, it's not absorption, but it's like some form of exhaustion, right? So you got exhausted divergences right here. But I wouldn't even be looking at that. Just plain footprint, you're seeing buyers get in to the market, not getting rewarded. So then when we come back down to where those buyers were, which is this little black box right here, that black box is going to be where the most buyers were, right? So if the most buyers were here, as soon as we touch that black box, all those buyers are going to get out of break even. Now you imagine, like, you have your stop loss, okay, you're in a trade, you put your stop loss to break even, right? How many times does it get hit? For these scalpers, it gets hit like all the time. That's why I like trading this. But that's just one theory behind it, is like, okay, all these buyers are in their position, they're in a losing position, basically, and they want to cut their losses quick. So when they cut their losses, that's it. Then the market just starts to cascade. So that's why you'll get these sort of cascading movements. But like I said before, it just depends on where we're at. Okay, like there's a lot of factors. I wouldn't just look at that, But that would be one thing I'm looking at. That's like just one of the theories why I look at those points of control, is because where the point of control is where the most volume was. And if that's where the most volume is, you know, and we're not getting what we want to see, well then that would just tell me like straight away, this is you know, something that I'm kind of interested in, you know. It just basically like that's what I would be sort of interested in. But there is, like I said before, there's different ways to interpret this. You know, so there's so many ways you can interpret that sort of data. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like that reaction to that imbalance was insane though. That's an insane reaction. Again, you know, like I said, when you're looking at this is what you would be looking at. You know, taking off key levels. If this was an imbalance mixed with something else, that's a good play. That's a good trade. But if it's not, then you know, taking off these, like, okay, look at these ones right here. You know, you go long right here. You know, these plays might not be the nicest. Again, I'm probably going to change this profile just to make it a little bit nicer. I do kind of like that one. I think we'll keep it like that. That's pretty nice. It's, yeah, like how you would be looking at that right now, wouldn't it? It would be like you're seeing all these high volume nodes coming in. You know, volume is kind of staying in the same area, so volume isn't really shifting higher. So that's how you would have been looking at that. So volume isn't really shifting higher, and look at that. Like as soon as we start top right here, we just get that huge reversal. Loads of volume stepping in at the very lowest. You know, you can go into profile theory as well on like the shapes in them. So that's like a lowercase b shape. You know, so there's loads of volume stepping in here. You know. You got this, which is the capital B shape profile. It sounds crazy, I know, but that's the way some traders trade. But like looking at it just from, like that's honestly not bad. You know, but right now, okay, like you could be looking for longs, let's say, off all these imbalances. What I would want to see is some form of something. You know, I gotta see something. You know. Let's click here, settings. There's loads of ways you could change these settings. Again, as well, you can have show text on. That's just, I don't have show text on. Change that to black. You can also see like where the volume's coming in. It's like the 26 positive. So you can see here, right, like 26 positive, positive delta coming in. And as soon as we hit that 26 positive delta, 14 negative delta come in. So like, that's just kind of like proof of that concept that I was saying about earlier, where it's like, if there's a lot of buyers stepping in, and then right at their level, we then have 14 negative deltas stepping in. So it just cascades price. That's why you got this huge cascade. But the perfect play, like I said, like if you're risking a decent amount of money, you want to take perfect plays only. Imagine you're risking imagine this was a $10,000 risk right here. Like you're in a trade for $10,000, and if it loses, you lose $10,000. Would you have taken? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I would not have taken this trade, even though it looks good, right? Like, it looks good on paper. But like for me, I would have needed to see just a little bit more other things, because those sort of plays all the time. But like I said, like look at this, down at these lows here, we're getting a nice heavy reaction from these areas. So it is nice. Again, you can have these on your chart and look at these as confidence areas, which I do. So like if I have a key level, that's when I'd be looking for these sort of plays. And then you mark them your A's, your B's, and your C setups. And then once you start getting like more setups and more, why is this not on there? Let me see. There we go. Crazy sunset behind me, guys. Whoa. Gorgeous. You already know the drill, guys. Like and subscribe. Get into this chat and start asking a bunch of questions, and I will do my best to answer every single one of them. Where are you? Which country, city? I'm actually in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh. I'm in Ho Chi Minh City. But like on Saturday, literally in like 4 or 5 days, I'm going to Malaysia. I'm going to Malaysia for a while, and then I'll see what's going on there. But I've been traveling around Asia for the past year. Like I went to Europe in March, and then came back to Asia. But before that, I've been in Asia for at least a year and a half. Asia's just the best. It's so warm. It's got the best food. A lot of the things are the best. Trust me, I love it. I love it here. When you start traveling, bro, you'll really like it. Just a feeling like just getting out of. When I lived in the UK, it was so gloomy all the time. People are great, over here and stuff like that. But it's good. Like it is cool. That's where I'm at. I'm in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh. So this is cool. But yeah, we just get into that. That balance. I used to live in a few weeks on Palantan. No way. Yo, that's actually sick. And that's why I haven't been to. I was going to go to Bali, instead of Malaysia, but then it worked out like better to go to Malaysia for me. But I'll be going to Bali next time because Malaysia's literally like just right across the water from Malaysia. Malaysia and Bali, they're like really close. Same with Australia. Australia's like right next to Bali, isn't it? It's like so close. A lot of Australians go to Bali, they go to Bali. That's where I was at. I was in Thailand. Thailand's really good. I was in Bangkok. I want to go to Pattaya, and I want to go to Phuket. Those two areas would be. I just haven't been there. I'm such a city boy, man. I love the city. I'm such a city boy. But again, you know, I think Pattaya is like the best of both worlds. You know, it's like it's got the nice beaches like Phuket, Koh Samui and stuff, and then it's got the nice sort of city-ish vibes of Thailand, Bangkok. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'll have to see. That's sick, man. Pattaya is nice. Nice. There we go. I've already got one recommendation. That's it. I'm gonna go. That's all I needed to hear, man. It is cool though, isn't it? Like, just traveling around. It's great. Like. Well, take a guess. Another dumb time. Bringing these lows. $28, close. Only 23, man. 23. Yeah, I literally started trading when I was like 17, I think. I had a lot of friends doing it, but you know, they just all stopped doing it, so yeah, 23, man. I'm going to be 24 soon though, like I'm not actually that young. I'm not that young, I'm still 23, like. How old are you, Daniel? How old are you? That's the real question. When I was 23, there was no trading in this style, I think. Yeah, like, see, honestly, well, I'm not gonna lie, there was, but it's just so underground. Like, no one was doing it like this. Like, it was really tough. I remember the big platforms. The big platforms were 38. Wow, that's crazy, man. You don't look 38 though. Like on your profile picture, you don't look 38. But I remember, like Sierra charts and stuff like that. They've always been around for like the last like 15, 20 years or something. But the big ones would have been Addis were out 5 years ago and stuff like that. Maybe even a little bit longer. But like no one was treating it like this. Now it's just went so mainstream, it's insane. You know, a lot of misinformation out there, which is crazy. But it's normal, it's to be expected. Like, but crypto is like huge for order flow traders. You know, you see a lot of order flow traders in crypto. I live like 23, so I live, that's it, man. That is it. That's the best way to live. Live like you're young and you'll never feel old. That's the best part. You know. When I was 22. Oh yeah. I live like 20. Right. No, I'm starting to understand. When you were 23, I don't think there was this sort of stuff, man. That was about 15 years ago. 15 years ago, maybe Sierra charts. But yeah, this wasn't that big. Like, there was a book I read, and it was actually made in like, it was made in like the 80s, and it was from the Chicago Board of Trades, CBOT, And if you look up CBOT market profile, you'll see that they were actually looking at this sort of stuff. Not like this though, like you have to see it, but it's like TPO charts and stuff. And it was like in the 90s or 80s. It was crazy. You know, but this sort of electronic sort of trading, how me and you are trading right now, it's like this was never a thing, man. Like in the Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, legit. That's the way it would have been, like, just sending orders over the phone. For real. We got such an advantage. That's what I'm saying. We have such an advantage right now, like just being able to look at orders and, you know, decipher like when to get in, when to get out, etc., etc. Like, whereas like back then they just had the. I suppose the advantage back then was like if you heard Goldman Sachs was selling, like if you're on like the floor, and you hear some Goldman Sachs I'm selling, well then you would just follow them because you know the big dogs like, you know, J.P. Morgan, Merrill Sachs, or Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs. You heard those guys were selling, you're like, okay, I'll sell as well. You know, you just hop in the back end, and this is pretty much what we're doing right now. Like, this is legit what I'm doing right now. It's just, the only difference is that we don't know what these guys' names are, but it's the exact same theory as them, you know. These guys, let's say it's Merrill Lynch. Oh, Merrill Lynch is selling right now, you know. We don't know who it is, but we can see that. Same with, like, whoever it is. But back in the day, they got to see that, so that was their advantage. So they removed that as an advantage, so we don't know anymore. And then they have things like dark pools and all. I hear so many people talk about dark pools and stuff now, which is crazy. You know, they're just trying to skim our advantage off every day. It's crazy. Loading up Addis was crazy for the lag as well. I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix it. It's not. I don't think it's too bad now. It depends, you know, for which platform I like to trade. It really depends. It depends if I'm live and stuff like that, you know, because I don't like leaking stuff. I'm not signing into anything, so at the moment I'm not. So it doesn't really bother me, like. But usually, if I had to pick one, I like TradingView because it's just so clean. Like, it's super duper easy. But then I like Addis because you can just easily, like, you know, there's so many different things you can add and take away and change. You know, it's very, very customizable. Whereas TradingView is kind of like, you know, if you imagine like it's like Android versus iPhone. You know, iPhone's just super duper easy to make and use. That would be like TradingView. And then Android's like super customizable. You can pretty much do anything with that phone. So that's the same. I would say Addis for the customizable. But if I'm like, you know, I can trade on either. It doesn't really bother me. But yeah, I like Addis for its customization abilities and stuff like that. But I need to make. I still haven't done the bias builder sheet for Addis, so I need to do that. So on here, on TradingView, I have the 4 charts on the side with the daily, weekly, and monthlies, which is going to be such a pain. Like I said, you can customize so much on here, so it just takes like an extra half an hour at least to make them sort of charts. But I'm gonna do it. I need to do it because I need it for myself anyway. It's just so easy. But they're actually Addis have rolled out Addis for Mac, so I'm in both. Like I have both. The Mac version looks nothing like the Windows version at all. Like it's two completely different platforms. You can still trade on the Mac version, so that's what I was doing. But you know, the customization and stuff, like for one, they don't even have the stacked imbalances on the Mac version yet. You know, so there's that. So you know, that is something that I do need. I say, you know, that was an amazing reaction, honestly, just from that one little trade. Oh, I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that. I still wouldn't. I'm not filled with regret. But if there was a key level up here and I missed it, I would be raging. I think that is because the rhythmic connection and easy following manager. Yeah, legit. That's another big pro for Addis as well. It's just like, you know, the rhythmic connection and stuff. I've never tried. Apex offer wealth charts as well. I think I've never tried wealth charts, but you know, Addis. There's a couple other platforms that I see. Like there's so many people bringing their platforms. You know, like online versions of this sort of stuff. But again, it's the customizations, you know. But yeah, you can easily like copy trading and stuff like that, and the rhythmic connections and all that sort of stuff is super duper handy. Like, that's true. I think I'm gonna play around with that. I connected 2058 Apex coins, 5k, and all of them are from the 5k. Yeah, I was gonna say 1.5k. Yeah. That's the best way, honestly. Like Apex is so good for that. So many people do not have Apex. A lot of people can't pass them, you know, like, you know, getting funded and stuff. Yeah, it's quite hard, like with some of the rules and stuff. But I think Apex is pretty fair. Like they give you, like just for passing, you can pass it. Like I think they offer 1 day to passes as well. You know, so you can literally pass in 1 day off these things. You could trade news. You could enter as many contracts as you want. You know, given the 50Ks. So yeah, $50 a day. That's insane, isn't it? Like, you know, what is that? 5 ticks. 5 ticks is nothing. Like that is honestly nothing. You can easily, like, if you're only looking then like sort of easy trades, you should be scalping them. You know, just pick an hour or two out of the day where you just want to trade. You know, if you do, because I'm kind of the same. Like I'm kind of in the same boat as you. You know, pick out a high volatile session. You know, if you watch my refined sessions thing on WAP, I go into why I pick them, and it's literally just because of volatility. And then if you trade them, and then you know pick a decent time out of there, you'll start to get easier to analyze them and stuff like that, and then you know at that point you're golden. You know. And visually, you could just see like, right over here, you got that high volume plus high delta. You can zoom in. 34 positive delta, right at these highs. Like that's like trap traders galore right here. And then you see volume, you see no follow through, you see kind of like a test. High volume. High volume. Delta, a lot of buying delta right down here. I'm gonna assume. Yeah, 69 buying delta. Makes sense. It's not a bad, thinking about this actually. If you see high volume plus high delta, like that could be like something to just keep an eye out. But yeah, look at these. Like every single sort of swing point there is these boxes. Not on there, but all around here. Huge amount of trades. Oh my gosh. Crazy amount of trades. Like you're looking at like just 45, 34, 43. That's a lot. That's pretty cool. Look, I will probably look into that a wee bit more. Just try it out, test things, and then see what's working and stuff. That seems decent enough to me. Something like that is just a wee bit easier. Yeah, like see over here, you can see that. Again, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the imbalances in the midpoint of a range. Like this, we got the base and then the rally. I don't really like it in between a rally or a drop, because it's just, you don't usually get the best reactions from them. But when you're in like some form of like consolidation and stuff, usually the reactions are decent. This down here would have been probably my favorite one to trade. Even though this one got a crazy reaction, that's just so rare. But yeah, it's really nice. We can see a little bit more as well with it. If we turn on values. We can start to see a little bit better. That's the only thing with using something like that. Two right at the top. 12, 22, 19. And you start to see some crazy numbers. I don't really care about the values on there, to be honest. I don't have them on my trading view either. And I literally, the only reason I would look at this bottom chart is for the points of control and seeing, like you said, the high volume nodes and stuff, seeing high volumes like, reacting around levels and stuff. But other than that, I don't need to see the text. Over here, I suppose it's not bad to see the text. Like, it's not, I'm not, I could trade without it, because if you just look at like you could just visually see. There is other ways to design this as well. I'm just trying to figure out like a good, nice color scheme. So you could do heat map by delta. And you could go something like that. Jeez. Maybe something like that. I kind of like this one though, I'm not gonna lie. Just for a quick, easy scene. Yeah, that's not bad. Visually. The points of control are so ugly though, I kind of want to change them. I don't know what to change them to though. You know, for some reason, it's not really allowing me. Which I'm probably going to get started on changing up a few of the things. You know, I haven't been really, I haven't really felt like trading that much since, you know, because I'm going away this weekend, so. But yeah. Yeah guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this up really quick. Again, there was no really crazy trades. Honestly, if that top one was in your risk profile, fair play for taking that. But you know, there was no decent trades. If I switch back to my other browser, so I go here and I go here and I go like this, you will be able to see my other chart, and yeah, like there was nothing. We could have took probably a long run this previous day VWAP, just up until here. You could actually see that this imbalance was tapped on TradingView right here instead of right up here. So there's that. That's like another reason why it's good to cross-reference and stuff. But I wouldn't really cross-reference for like little levels like that, you know. But for like, you know, points of control and stuff, yeah, definitely. But yeah, literally just waiting this. I think we were sitting here for 2 hours nearly, and there has been nothing for potential plays. We came very close to that London POC, but again, nothing. So I would say, you know, let me try to actually see this real quick. Yeah. So we came very close to that London one, but again, you know, nothing just yet. So if we do get any reactions from these levels, I will send them into the Discord. But I will see you guys in the next one. And peace out. Let's see if it works, guys. Peace out.